All right, everybody, welcome back to the #1 television program in the history of the entire universe. I am Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon, The Blackest Heart, and The Lonesome Crown. All three books published by Simon & Schuster's Saga Press. Today I'm going to be showing you my entire Mickey Zucker Reichert book collection, which consists of 9 books. 3 separate trilogies. Now, I know Mickey Zucker Reichert has probably written twice as many as these books that I've got, but these are the ones that I've collected, and they have been a cherished part of my book collection since the early 1990s, really. This series here of 9 books is one of my favorite fantasy series of all time, and we will go through it here. This fantasy series is broken. It's all part of the Renshi universe that she's created, and it's broken up into 3 different trilogies. So let's start with the first trilogy, and that is the last. It begins with the last of the Renshi. I don't know what the name of this trilogy is called. It looks like it is called The Last of the Renshi Trilogy, named after the very first book in the trilogy, which I did read and review earlier this month, or last month. I reread it. I reviewed this in the summer at some point. So if you want to watch my review of this book, the very first book in the series, just type in Last of the Renshi, my last name, type those words into your YouTube search bar, and the review will magically appear on your computer or phone or television. I don't know what you're using to watch the internet. I'm not here to judge you on that. Just do it the way I suggested, and things on the internet will work out fine for you. Anyway, so this trilogy was where I started. This is the first ever Mickey Zucker Reichert book I ever read, and it blew my socks off when I first read it. And I see something glorious and new in storytelling and prose every time I reread it, and I've probably reread this one 4 or 5 times in my life. It's just great. Same with the rest of the trilogy. Let's talk about what is this trilogy about. It's very based on Norse mythology and kind of the Valhalla kind of a thing, and sword fighting, and being a great sword fighter and a fighter, and that's how you win honor, is you win honor in battle, and you want to take that into death with you, and all that kind of stuff. Really, really cool concepts that the author has taken from, the history of our own world. And the covers of all 9 books are done by the great illustrator Jody Lee, who has illustrated a lot of the Daw books. A lot of the Daw books that I used to buy, Daw is the publisher. You can see the little icon there at the top. Daw Books was probably everything I bought from Daw Books in the late 1980s, 1990s, early 2000s. I knew that I was going to get great fantasy written by great writers every time I bought a Daw book within that time frame, and I was never disappointed. So book number 1, the cover, Jody Lee, a great cover, wraps around, very colorful, very design heavy, aesthetically pleasing, great covers. That's book 1. Book number 2, The Western Wizard, again, another great colorful Jody Lee illustration, wraps around, superb. And then The Child of Thunder, book number 3 in the trilogy. Very colorful. I like it. Just they wrap around, and Daw Books does such a great job of making sure that, when we put these together on the shelf, they somewhat match. I mean, the book number 1 doesn't necessarily match the design of book number 2, but I will forgive them this one blunder because the rest of the books all match up really good. So let's put that trilogy right there. Now let's talk about the second trilogy in the series, which, by the way, is my favorite trilogy in the series. This is super fucking dope trilogy, but it even gets better in the second trilogy. And that is a continuation of the story with sort of the children of the characters in this take over in this book, and in these trilogies. This trilogy is called The Renshi Chronicles. And book 1 is Beyond Ragnarok. Another great looking Jody Lee painting. I enjoy the way that all 3 books on the covers, again, have a similar theme to the layout and design of the covers. The book wraps around, and some of my favorite fantasy characters of all time are in this trilogy here. I just love the interplay between, and these guys go on quests, and just the interplay between all the characters in the quests and all that. But it's great. And the writing is some of the best you're going to ever find in fantasy. And then book number 2 is this one here, which is Prince of Demons. Again, a great looking, colorful, eye-catching cover with a super dope wraparound. And then book number 3, The Children of Wrath. Once again, cool, magical looking cover. Got our sword fighters there, our magic users. All of the cool things that go in fantasy are in Mickey Zucker Reichert books. And again, Daw Books does a great job with the spines, making them all look like they pretty much belong in the same trilogy. There's a few little gaffes, like, you know, the font here, and then what? And then when we do the curvy font, you know, sometimes. And then the final trilogy in the series, which, if I were to rank them, I go, my favorite is the second trilogy. My second favorite is the first trilogy. And then my third favorite is this last trilogy. That's not to say that the last trilogy is bad. It's just I like the other two more. But these are dope in their own right. And I would never, ever say anything bad about them because I enjoyed them. And again, this is the third trilogy, which is the, God, what the fuck is this one called? I don't think this one has a name. At least it's not on the cover. Oh, the Renshi Saga is what this one's called. And it starts with the flight of the Renshi, again with another just sweeping, dynamic Jody Lee illustration that wraps around all the way and just looks cool. Now this trilogy is, you know, first generation, second generation, third generation characters. That's kind of the way it works. And then book number 2, Fields of Wrath, again with just a really bold cover by Jody Lee again. I love that sword, how it stands out amongst all the fiery, warm colors there, and it wraps around really good. And then the last of the books is the Immortal Renshi, again with just a great looking painting on the front of that. That is so good. That's a really good looking piece of artwork right there. But anyway, that, my friends, is my entire Mickey Zucker Reichert. And when they all sit together in order on the shelf, they look like that. That is all of them on the shelf together in order. And that, my friends, is a great looking set of fantasy books, if I do say so myself. And that is the video chronicling my Mickey Zucker Reichert book collection. Go out and get these books wherever you can find them. You will not be disappointed.